next, Andrew. How are you today?
Good. It's still early morning in California, but I'm really pleased to be here.
Ah, yeah. So, yeah, you are. You're before 8 a.m. there. So hopefully it's, I don't know if it's sunny or rainy right now, but welcome. And Andrew, if you can share a little bit about your background and yourself, just a couple-minute introduction to kick us off.
Of course, Andrew Gorecki here. Essentially, currently, I'm a senior manager with CrowdStrike Professional Services. However, the last 11 years I spent with IBM in various cybersecurity roles. So started as an engineer and progressed through various consulting roles. And the last 4 or 5 years, I focus really on threat management and cyber resiliency. And currently I focus on cloud security. So that's me in a nutshell.
Thank you. And so of the topics that they'll be covering this week in Davos at the Cyber Dialogue, which one is very close to you and of big interest?
Well, for me, cyber resiliency is a really close topic to my heart, partly because, if you look at what was happening from a cybersecurity perspective in the past, it used to be about compliance tools. It was largely vendor-driven, but I think with the proliferation of cyber attacks, especially ransomware and other cyber attacks, it's really about, not only about how can we protect our enterprises, but also can we withstand those attacks? Can we recover from those attacks? But I would say most importantly, can we continue business operations under adverse conditions? So for me, cyber resiliency is it's a topic that is very close to my heart.
So in terms of cyber resiliency, or maybe others that you want to add around that, Andrew, thinking about, this year, we're still pretty early on. What are the major trends that you see that we'll be, looking at in the next 12 months here?
Yeah, of course. So I'd like to kind of answer from 2 perspectives. One, I will talk a bit about, the threat landscape. And then maybe I kind of pivot to technology and what's going to happen from a technology perspective in the industry. So I think, unfortunately, we are going to see ransomware is going to continue to be a top trend. As I explained earlier, I think we'll continue to see proliferation of cybercrime, with ransomware leading the way, in my view. Let's face it, it's a very lucrative business. Even in recent years, we observed that threat actors who typically specialized or historically specialized in other types of cyber crimes, such as financial fraud, they moved into ransomware because it's just a very lucrative business. There's a lot of money to be made, and many businesses are just very insecure because technology is inherently insecure. But I think what also makes this situation worse is that we no longer face individual threat groups. In fact, I think we are dealing with a highly organized cybercrime ecosystem that is based on an affiliate model. And based on the threat intelligence that we collect, and also from some of the breach investigations that I was involved in, we know that the ecosystem is comprised of malware developers, essentially those actors who write the ransomware, but also ransomware operators, so those operators who deploy the malware and compromise organizations. There's money laundering operations involved. There are even call centers. And also what we see is that those threat actors, collaborate. Their relationships are based on trust, brand reputation, and they run just very sophisticated operations that resemble real businesses. So that's why I think that for this reason, many enterprises will pay more attention to cyber resiliency, because it's, as I said earlier, it's no longer about, can we protect ourselves against those cyber attacks? It's, can we withstand those cyber attacks, and can we continue business operations? Can we ensure that some of the critical infrastructure and critical services that we provide to our communities, can we actually continue those operations? And Leah, in my consulting engagements, I've already seen, shift from kind of a compliance thinking towards like, well, cyber attacks are real. It can happen to us. What can we do to make sure that, we are not going to be down for 4 weeks?
No, thank you so much, Andrew, for sharing that great information. I know CrowdStrike puts out some really good threat intel reports too. So looking forward to seeing those this year. And thank you for your continued work in the field. We definitely know it's needed and it's not slowing down anytime soon, right? So thanks for joining us from California early in the morning, and appreciate having you here.
My pleasure. Yeah. Thank you for inviting me. Okay, bye-bye.
Sure thing. Max, how are you today?
Hi, Leah. Great to be here.
Yeah, great to have you here. So where are you calling in from? And then
I'm
tell us a little bit about yourself.
sure. I'm calling from New York. Not quite as early as it is out in California, but still the morning here. Brief introduction, managing director in Grant Thornton's cybersecurity practice. And the focus of my work, both with the firm and prior industry roles, has been in attack surface management, application security, and now software supply chain being a big topic and of concern to many folks, I think, for all the right reasons.
Thank you. So I guess with that said, the topics for that they'll be talking about in Davos this week, is supply chain one of those hot ones for you? Are there any others?
That is certainly the topic, that's pretty near dear to my heart, given some of the work that I've been doing recently. Yeah, so that's the topic. I don't know if I would necessarily call it a new trend. It's been top of mind for many folks throughout 2022 with, the attention from the US federal government and the executive order, and really how the federal agencies are looking to take a more programmatic approach to really not just think about the end product, how secure is the end application they're buying, although that's obviously very important, but the entire supply chain behind that product.
So when you look at the, yeah, you're right about that. And hopefully we see more advances in that area. But when you look at the big trends for 2023, what are you seeing this year that we'll need to
Yeah, sure. So, maybe kind of the way I think about software supply chain security, we hear SBOM a lot, a part of it, but it's not about the SBOM. We hear open source software that certainly plays a part of it, but it's not just that. So the way I think about it, the engineering teams who are developing our software products, they're essentially our suppliers, right? And then the tools that they use, the development processes, these are the logistics by which that product gets shipped to us, the end consumers of the applications. So really I think about software supply chain holistically. It's the developers, it's the processes they use, it's the tools that they use, and it's these processes, the development end-to-end processes, that are becoming new high-value targets for attackers. So, we have an example is, from March of last year with the GitLab events, vulnerabilities that were exploited, and more recently, 𝗙cie, right? So attackers, to Andrew's points earlier, they're looking to scale their business. Just like we're looking to scale, the attackers are looking to scale their business. And one of the ways that I think they're seeing that their business can be scaled is by targeting shared resources. So where the developers become the target, and the shared resources that they use become the targets. But frankly, I think few organizations would put tools like Jenkins or 𝗙cie on the list of crown jewels, right? I think that's still a reality, or even consider those tools as part of that threat surface and that attack surface that could be exploited. So, with that said, given the state of the world, where would one even start? So in application security, traditionally, security by design is a thing, I think, in many organizations. That starts with threat modeling the application, threat modeling the architecture, to really understand the threat vectors, how it could be exploited, and ensuring the application has the appropriate security controls that would prevent those threats from becoming an eventuality. So I think, kind of taking that thought a little bit further, is this idea that I think as an industry, we really need to start threat modeling, not just the end product to build applications, but that development process. So looking at the processes, the tools, the engineering ecosystems that developers use to understand what are the potential vulnerabilities, what are the potential entry points into the organization that, a software that's exploited as it's being built can have obviously much more serious implications that something that's already been shipped and operating in, whether in the cloud or in data center. And then, maybe finally, some of the helpful tools that I wanted to share that may help folks with thinking about how to threat model that end-to-end development processes. OWASP top 10 CI/CD risks, a great resource that goes into what those risks are, what those mitigations project that was started by CIDR, recently taken over by OWASP. I think it's a great resource. And one is still a work in progress, a community effort that I've had the honor of contributing to as well. So I put a plug on that. It's called the Open Software Supply Chain Attack Reference, kind of similar to MITRE ATT&CK that goes through the kill chain. And that work in progress can be found at pbom.dev. Again, it's pbom.dev is a good resource. So again, the two things I would highlight is that OWASP top 10 CI/CD risk and pbom.dev.
Thank you so much for sharing. We really do appreciate your very holistic view on supply chain cybersecurity. It's very much, I think, needed. And thank you for sharing that reference, software supply chain attack reference, the pbom.dev. Thank you. And
thank
congrats,
you.
or look forward to seeing more of your work in that area too over this year.